am I? Who am I, you guys? This is what I share. I am your mirror, living the wisdom of the ages. I am growing my empire, and I am co-creating our new world, empowering you to too. Hey! Woo! Let's fly, witches, let's fly. I am coming to you today because I felt totally compelled at about 5 this morning. I was like, okay, I get it, spirit guides, let's fucking roll, let's go. Okay, so what I heard is, it's time for you to share how you grew into your powers, your abilities, what you are able to do, what you can do. And fuck, it comes in layers, you guys, just like healing, just like every other experience that we have. So let's see, where do I begin? And to be honest with you, I may be like jumping around here and there because there is so much. And if you care to ask any questions or interact at all, let's go. Let's totally go. But here's what I'm going to start with. I'm going to start with this. I remember being a child and being totally plugged into my intuition, to my senses, to the ethers, to God, to my breath, to play, to imagination, to all the things that are here for us to have fun with. I was already connected, and very powerfully through my emotions. What gets to move on out of us. I call emotions angels of God. They are messengers of God. They are this constant, beautiful prayer that we have with God. Our emotions, because they are feedback, you guys. They are feedback. Why do you have them if they aren't a gift to you? This entire life, believe it or not, is actually a gift. Sit with that for just a moment. If you can shift your perspective into recognizing that life and all that is involved with it is a gift, you can now step in to your very powers, your abilities, what you can do with the technology of your body that we have forgotten because we fucking came here to remember. We came in forgetting so that we can remember, and it feels beautiful. It feels completely epic. You guys, I am here for every goddamn challenge. I am here for every beautiful experience that I have had, am currently experiencing, sharing this moment of time and space and shape with you right now, and what is to come. All of it, because you are the universe that is. We would not be this without us. The very living God lives and breathes and is being in us. We are royalty. We are royalty. I want to say that again, because when I say that, I mean it. I'm not just saying that for any other experience, but the fact that I am reminding you that you have goddamn fucking royal blood in your veins. You wouldn't be here if you weren't. And everything that we get to experience on this realm, on this blue pearl of the earth that we are on, the animal kingdom, the plant kingdom, the bacterial kingdom, the viral kingdom, right? The ethers, every part of it is all a reflection of us, of God, of the universe, of the unity that we are. So starting there, let's go to how it is that I began to step into this understanding of who I am and recognizing the things that I am able to do as a goddamn fucking witch, bitch, motherfucking amazing human being that I am, understanding the technology in my body as it is ready to come forth and be shown to the world. I now can step into this and I love it and I'm super grateful for it. So let's start with this. Let's start with, right, where I was as a child. And then there's this really powerful intermittent moment in my life that feels like to me another lifetime. My childhood feels more connected to me than this time I'm about to tell you about, only briefly. We'll talk more about it with time, right? But there was a time from 15 to 28 years old, this window of chronological time that I experienced where everything about my emotions were told to me, my senses, the way that I felt, literally your intuition, your sixth sense. It is literally sense, or sixth sense is literally your intuition. It is literally the bridge that connects us to God, to the realm that we feel is far away. Nonetheless, it is not. That love of God resides in my heart and is emitted from there. So that period of my life where I was taught my emotions didn't matter, my senses didn't matter, my intuition as a woman, was not something that was importante. And let me tell you, every single human being on this planet has intuition. Every living, breathing thing on this planet. I just gotta point over here on this planet. Living, breathing thing on this planet. Senses, has intelligence. If you need to go look this up, please go do so. There is intelligence in everything that communicates. And every plant, and animal, and human being is definitely doing this on a daily basis. Every nerve ending in your body is doing this. Every virus is doing this. Every bacteria is doing this. Everything that you may consider and label as a germ is doing this. And so for myself, as that time where I was just disconnected from, because I was taught this is what I was taught. I was taught that I was not, those things were not important. The most important thing about what God had given me to connect to him through, is his word. And therefore logic. I get to use my logic to connect to God. And only that. It's so interesting because in so many periods of history and time, there have been so many things that have been told to us about how to interact with God. So many different things. And I am grateful that this lifetime, this is what I was taught. And Logos, the word, has also left me all the clues I ever needed. They are the spelling words, the spells we've created to leave ourselves clues all around to remember. So let me give, okay, so then that is the overview of the disconnect, right? And really being steeped into my masculine polarity, the positive polarity. Positive means placed. And in order for this life to have the yin yang, to have the ebbs and flows, right? To have the sine, cosine, in order for us to have a full circle, because sine and cosine create a circle, in order for all these things to take place on this planet, we have those polarities in this particular realm, right? Of this 3 dimension. And so with that, we have a dance that gets created, right? And everything ebbs and flows and moves and has a frequency to it. And that is the first language, you guys, that we speak. Our bodies speak this language. of frequency. It understands when it receives that mechanical sound wave through my entire body, because sound waves go through mass, right? And that is what I am, and mostly of water. So my body reads that, it understands that language. And then the next language is symbolisms, symbols. That language is the next language that everybody in this universe comprehends. And then I believe at some point it's the sounds we make out of our mouths, right? Because clearly we read more than just what is being spoken to us. We also read people's energy. We can feel what they are emitting through their emotions to us. Very important information. It is feedback. Again, angels of God, messengers of God that we are receiving on a constant basis. So, with these three languages in mind, I really saw myself begin to become more connected to my body and my senses, my abilities, what I can do. When I stepped away from living in that confinement and that, I'm going to explain this. Are you ready? Let's go. The matrix, madre, the womb, pattern, padre, patron. This is the pattern. I love this combination. I love to give as a symbolism. The pattern of the womb, bringing the father and the mother together. The netting, the pattern, the weave of the womb. In whatever dimension you're experiencing this in. So for example, right? Let's say that I lived in this church environment that I lived in, and the pattern of the womb, the patron of the matrix that I was living in, had me within this, loving, nurturing, hold fence of my mother, right? While I had the pattern that I was told to live by the father, right? The patron. So that was holding me in there until I had a series of events take place that I'll share about in some further time, that totally broke me from that. And the water broke, right? And I was released from the womb. Rebirth happened. Ow! So deeply. And I was taken on a journey from freaking 28 years old onward. And that's amazing because 28 years old, I'm going to share this with you. One of the language of symbolism came to me. The language of symbolism. And I began to learn about astrology. It began to come to me. I didn't even seek it out. It came to me and it caught my attention. And I realized within the relationship I was in, it was interesting. It was actually my ex came to me with astrology and began to call things out in my life that were accurate as hell. And I was like, whoa, motherfucker, what you up with? What's going on? Like, that's fascinating to me that you're able to recognize in this moment, that's what's going on here. So that was my first, whoa, almost alarming moment of, okay, wow. This is what's going on. This is what's going on. Like, this is catching my attention. So, and it's calling out things in my life. So I began to pay attention to that. Again, astrology is symbolism. It's more than that, but very, very powerfully, it creates archetypes and symbolisms, things we very much understand, our bodies in their entirety understand. So astrology, huge factor for me to begin to see the things, the clues I left myself. I call astrology a literal map of clues. Calls out certain things about myself. And before you begin to identify very strongly with your sun sign or your entire natal chart, I want to remind you something. We have it all within us. All is within us. So every sign And its, if you want to call it, its shadow is within you as well. So looking down on another sign or a zodiac representation, remember that it is all within us. All of it. I don't have any Aquarius in my chart, but this bitch is Aquarius as fuck, and by God, I better be, because I am living under that constellation at this moment right now, which means I get to bring up the technology. I get to bring up the community. I get to build up what it is that all of us are working to craft and co-create together. This is Aquarian. Of course, I want to embody that in its full, beautiful, fledged representation. So with that in mind, astrology was powerful. And then the next thing that creeped and came into my very being were the 78 cards of the freaking tarot. Again, something I wasn't looking for, but it came to me. It came to me, and I was mind blown. When in 2019, somebody read my cards, they asked me if they could read them, and then they read them. Interesting thing is, I had a beautiful boyfriend at the time who knew. He's extremely intuitive motherfucker, extremely intuitive. I'm so grateful to him. He came to me and told me that he had a real feeling that, I should meet this beautiful woman. And I did, and I felt very connected to her, but I was mind blown when she read cards for me. The only question I had was about work, my career, and everything was coming out about things this woman had no idea about me. And I was like, that's fascinating that you're calling out things I know are in my future. I know I'm working towards for my future, but haven't told you about. I was like, that's fascinating shit. So it caught my attention in 2019. And I made a huge study out of it. I studied it in a way I honestly have never studied anything in my life except perhaps sewing. Like sewing and design. I don't know that I've taken on such a study because I was reading more than cards. People say that you're reading cards. The truth is, these 78 cards are, again, symbolism and archetypes. Again, they bring things up from the subconscious into the conscious realm. This is what we call psyche. The mind, the spirit, the soul. When you look up these terms and you learn what they mean, you'll understand the spells we created when we decided to use them as words. And I also want to say this, language, in whatever goddamn form it comes in, all of this world over, is very much connected. I don't care what language you speak. It is connected. I don't care what mythology you decide to rule your life by, what form of spirituality you feel very connected to. You will still be connected to every symbolism. You will still be connected to every energetic frequency that comes from a note that is played on the piano, any instrument, or the voice sound that comes out of my mouth. I'm speaking notes in every moment. This is why I call this our wand. So these cards are very powerful to my experience. So much so that, like I said, I was learning to read energy, right? These frequencies that come in, frequency of the vibrations that are coming through to my being, my body in every moment. And I have learned a lot, and I will share more about frequencies and reading energy, especially when it comes to card readings, to having somebody read your cards or you listening to card readings and you receiving information, because when you're on the end of being the reader, there's a whole fucking responsibility that you have, and we are not playing that game in the most respectful way. So we're learning to do that, and that's beautiful. Just like a therapist is not permitted in their practice to give you advice from their perspective, card readers get to be careful with that as well, because there's something beautiful in this world called free will, you guys. Free will. The moment you decide to play with somebody else's free will and you decide that you want to be in control, the moment you decide you want to be in control, you're fucking with something that some people call black magic, others call it a curse, other people call it disrespect. There's so many ways we could call it. But don't try to control somebody's life, because we always reap what we sow. Always. So if I'm sowing beautiful freedom for others, I will reap the rewards from that. And if I am sowing control and depression and oppression, I will reap what I have sown from that. So yeah, these are powerful tools, astrology and tarot. For myself, another huge tool has been being connected to very intuitive souls, very psychic souls, another word for it, right? And again, don't take my word for anything. Go look up these terms for yourself. Go understand language for yourself, because it is how you spell. And in every moment that you open your mouth or that you think a thought, you are spelling, you are creating, you are casting forth your imaginations, and they become your reality. Did you hear that? I know people say this shit all the time, but sit with that for a moment. Your imagination is powerful. You are one of the greatest storytellers on this goddamn earth. It is what we humans are made to do. And if you do that, if you imagine, and in every moment you are, what's happening is something I call manifestation. It's a process of alchemy. Alchemy, foundation of knowledge. It's how we transmute, change things in this world. Because the source of everything is in one place. It's a source. Just like your source of your pain is the same place where the source of your pleasure comes from. Nerve endings, the same ones. There are not separate nerve endings to distinguish pain from pleasure. No, it's the same nerve endings. So the same life that you are experiencing, you also get to change, transmute, rewire, reprogram, recast a spell. Your imaginations are manifesting. They are congealing, turning into stone what it is that you thought of into this third dimension that you see and you get to touch, smell, taste. You've brought it and baked it into this world, and now you have a philosopher's stone. Harry Potter is not a goddamn fucking joke. That shit is, it just has a different language, and you get to learn to understand it, just like if Japanese is foreign to you, and just like if English is foreign to you, right? Whatever language you get to learn. Yeah. It's interesting when we begin to look at the world and recognize our abilities are all around us, and growing into them is me recognizing, learning and understanding the frequencies, the symbolisms, and the lingo that is used. So another thing that helped me step into, grow into my powers is stopping and looking around myself. I remember in 2020 thinking that I was so weak in being a baby witch. I was like, you're a baby witch, baby, what are you doing? Like, you have so much to learn. And of course we all do. I ain't saying I've arrived anywhere, babies. But let me tell you, this bitch is powerful as fuck. I am steeped deeply into my intuition. I don't have questions when it comes to me interacting with souls. I can read your energy, bitch. I read it. I feel it. I smell it. I taste it. Don't worry. Don't be afraid. I also come to you with all the motherfucking compassion this world has. And yes, there are moments I step into the drama and I allow myself to be a fully expressed wild creature. And then I remember, maybe step back and take the place of the witness for a moment and recognize that everyone else is also the main character in their story. We are the main characters in our story. But it is extremely powerful to stop and recognize that everyone else is the main character in their story too. Can you understand it from their perspective? If so, great, beautiful. Now you could bring compassion to it. Let's go. There is a flip side to every single position that you could be in this realm. So for example, let's say that you are the hero of a story. You're the person who's decided to make the sacrifices to be there for everyone else. But the flip side of that is actually the martyr, the masochist, the person who's hurting themselves, right? Again and again. It's interesting. You could also be in the position of the villain. Let me tell you what the flip side of the villain is. That's the judge. You're being the goddamn motherfucking judge when you're the villain. You often are your biggest critic. You are most powerful villain. And there are times to be that because the villain is the one who makes sacrifices. They sacrifice the world in order for them to be. So super, super interesting, all these different positions you could be in. And of course, there's the victim, which so often we put ourselves as the damsel of distress, the damsel in distress, right? Oh my God. Oh my God, look what's happening to me. Look what everyone else is doing to me, right? Look what God is doing to me. The flip side to that motherfucker is the enabler. Oftentimes we're enabling ourselves to be the victim in a situation. Oftentimes. It's very interesting to think about those positions we could play in a show, right? In a movie, in a novela. Romance. What the fuck does that word mean, romance? Go look it up for yourself, check it out, but it means novel. It means we're creating our romance in every moment. Another way I've learned to tap into my abilities is to be in the now. Be in the now. Right here, right now. I choose to be. And if I can learn to leave the goddamn motherfucking past events that have happened to me, the past in the past, if I could learn to do that and come to the moment in its freshness, in its potentiality, right? If I could come to the moment with that attitude, you have stepped into powers that other people are looking at you as if you are God. I am not joking. Because if you stop and think about it and you do put yourself in the place of God, the place of the witness, if you will, the fly on the wall, right? So often we see God as outside of us, right? And forgetting that God lives within us, right? So many of us claim that God lives in me, right? And others of us at the same time, in the same breath, will say in a hymn that you are a worm. You are like filthy motherfucking rags. I'm going to remind you what that means. In the Bible, in the Hebrew times, filthy rags was what they called women who were bleeding on their cycle, right? In their beautiful cleanse and purification time. The time of the full moon, women would sit on the rags to allow the blood to flow. And There was a time in history where the Hebrews were told that they were filthy rags and they had to be burned and they were filth. Who the fuck came up with that idea? Obviously, somebody who didn't understand the beauty of the blood within the womb, the creative power that that represents, and the beauty that that holds. Complete disrespect, right? I'm also not going to sit here and judge every goddamn culture for every goddamn mistake we've ever made, because we're allowed to make mistakes. That's why we're here on this planet, right? This is Earth School, if you want to call it. I don't give a fuck what you want to call it, right? But like whatever it is, we're learning. We are the teacher as well as the goddamn fucking student, and it's fun to be both. You're my mirror, and every moment I learn something from you. And I say something in some moment that gets you to think about what the hell you're doing on this goddamn motherfucking planet. In this dimension, in this realm, you're like, oh shit, you know? So yeah, it's super, super, super interesting observing what it is that we are doing here and how we are stepping into our abilities and powers in every moment. And it's really fun when you do so, because let me tell you, people get very threatened. Those who operate off of the patron of the matrix, the pattern of the matrix, right? Those who believe that you have to follow this pattern, this law that has been written, right? For the womb that you are being held in. You've got to follow those rules. Oh my God, if you do outside of that, you're going to be fucked. No, we've got to keep you inside of them. Do you know how many people have told me to be quiet and not share things about my life and my abilities and my powers because something bad could happen to me? Oh, bitch, do I know? Oh, do I know? I've already had so many things happen to me. I've had so many things happen. I've had so many what we call blessings happen and so many curses happen. I have had it all, and guess what? I am also here for all of it. I have experienced the depths of poverty. I have experienced the heights of riches. I've experienced all of it. I have enjoyed all of it. I have been able to be in the here and now, in the present moment. And I'm learning to bring my guard down more and more as an ex-warrior-ess. I've learned to bring my guard down, to de-armor myself, to put my arms down. My weapons, I have set them down, because by God, if I don't do that, I don't have space for an open heart. I get to have an open heart. Are you ready for an open heart? Because if we could come to this world with open hearts and learn to have compassion for one another, we will come into this world, into this present momentito, with so much goddamn power that those who are trying to keep others depressed into the pattern of the matrix, the pattern of the womb, those will get to learn to join us in the dance and have freaking fun and jump out of the womb and go out and explore this universe and explore this world for what it is. It's so much more than we have been taught. But that's okay, you guys, because we had a mother and we had a father, and we're meant to. We're meant to have these two together, whether or not they were a physical mother and father. There was always a representation of the masculine and the feminine energies, the patron and the matron, right? We've had both of them. In some way, form, or fashion, they've been represented in our world. And the rebirth for you is you get to break from that, break the waters, come out of the womb and come into another space, dimension, time, understanding, revelation, learn a new lingo, right? Like everything about it. It's happened to you so many times. Motherfuckers, whether or not you believe in past lives, you've still experienced thousands and thousands and thousands of experiences. You've gone through so many cycles of death and rebirth again and again and again and again. It's epic. It's amazing. You are royalty. You have a dominion around you to take care of. It is there for you to care for. You are responsible for it. You get to rule it, which means to guide it. Remember, everything about control ends up turning into a curse. It ends up turning into what doesn't feel like freedom. We're here to be free. Enjoy. Thank you guys for joining me. You're Mir, and we'll keep talking about this. I look forward to seeing you guys later. Bye for now.